Alrighty then, I'm completely on the wrong thing. Let's try that again. Boom! There it is. G'day guys, and welcome. My name is Michael. I'm the Dead Aussie Gamer, and welcome. Well, it's very soft. Why am I very soft? Hold on. Wait, let me. I'm the very model mental. Okay, hello. Come on. Hello. Testing, testing. Why is this so soft? Oh my god. Apologies everyone. Let me just fix this a little. Hello? Hello? Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. Aha! Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but we're back. Hey guys, welcome in. My name's Michael. I'm the Dead Aussie Gamer, and welcome to DAG Reads, a more slow and simple stream where we read through a book. The book that we have been reading through is Emily Rodda's The Rowan of Rin, a tale about a young bookshelf farmer named Rowan who, in the first book, climbed up the top of a mountain in order to try and bring water back to the town of Rin, and went on an epic journey, following riddles and quests and a whole bunch of other stuff, and returned the hero of Rin. Now, we are currently on the second book of the adventure, and we are now reading Rowan and the Travelers, a story which entails a group of wandering travelers, wandering nomads, who have come unseasonably early to Rin. We don't know why yet, but there's some suspicions, some mysteries surrounding it. The townsfolk are both happy because these people are quite nice and they're allies to the people of Rin, but also quite nervous because, I mean, their arrival could really mean anything. So there you go. Now, as far as secrets go, the town is trying to hide the mountain berries that were found and cultivated, because of course they were found on the mountain during the first book, and yeah, they're kind of trying to keep it secret from the travelers. So I guess we'll see if they do that and more. Hey, what's up, Liska? Nice to see you. And Marcus, good to see you guys as well. Charlie, Heather, hey, do you do readings? That's awesome. I'll pass because I got to write for Nano, but I'll keep an eye on your channel. Hey, thank you so much, Charlie. Actually, most of the time I do D&D stuff, but yeah, you know, look, I'm feeling it out, you know, like, my channel's always been about what people want, what people enjoy, and yeah, you know, like, we tried doing, like, games on Sundays, but they were very tiring. So we're just doing casual reads and stuff like that. So if you have suggestions for things that you'd like to see on the channel, such as readings and stuff, let me know. And good luck with Nano. My partner is currently amidst the NaNoWriMo stuff as well. Of course, a lot of my friends who are doing stuff on World Anvil, for example, are also in the midst of their Nano power writing. And seriously, power to you guys. It is a very difficult challenge, and I wish you guys all of the best on your journey. Sincerely, yes. My tired self is walking to work, 7 a.m. Well, hopefully chill reads are going to be good for you there, Marcus. Just as you wind up to start your day. Alright. Alright, guys, I'm here with Meatloaf. There is Meatloaf, my bookmark dragon. Meatloaf can take a break while we get stuck into it. Take it easy, Charlie. We'll see you around. Okay. Chapter 7. Alun Tells a Tale. Now, just for context as well, the Rowan is currently... it's the middle of the night. Rowan is over with the travelers at the moment, and he's just heard this story of the Valley of Gold from Ogden, who believes, or at least according to the story, the Valley of Gold is a place hidden in the mountains somewhere, and its location lost to the ages. So that's what we've just found out. Okay. There was a stir in the crowd, and Rowan looked up. His dream interrupted. Alun was stepping forward. "And now, Ogden," he said with a smile. "We of Rin have a story for you, if you'll listen. It is a new story, a story of great courage." Rowan's heart thudded. He hadn't known this was going to happen. He felt his face beginning to grow hot. Anad nudged him proudly. The storyteller looked up in mild surprise. The firelight danced upon his hair.
I will listen with pleasure, Alan,
he said mockingly. He winked at the traveler's children at his feet. Now, what great story do the Rin folk have for us, do you suppose? He cried. Did a hero save Alan's bread from burning, perhaps? Or perhaps did the fearless Rin gardeners fight a plague of slugs with their bare hands? Who knows what terrors await us in this tale? Oh, I shudder to think of them. The traveler's children shouted with laughter. Anna jumped up.
Stop laughing, she shrilled. Our story's just as good as one of yours.
Rowan pulled at her dress. Hush, Anad, he whispered. Ogden's only teasing. But she sank back into the ground. He knew that his little sister was not the one to get infuriated by Ogden's words. Many of Rin's children, and the adults too, were frowning. Already some of them distrusted the travelers, and they did not like to be teased. But Alan hadn't lost his smile. Oh, you may mock us, Ogden, he said in his light, clear voice. But remember, that the people of Rin were not always simple farmers. Our ancestors were warriors. Remember that in the past our two people fought side by side to defeat an enemy that would have invaded our land. Yeah, growled a familiar voice. The people stirred. They turned to look down at the white-haired woman leaning heavily on the cane from the shadows. Rowan's heart sank as he recognized old Lan.
You were happy enough to stand behind our strength when the Zebak came, traveler, she called. Remember their iron cages? Remember the war of the plains? Remember our many dead? Remember these before you make jokes at our expense.
The Rin crowd muttered in agreement.
We remember, respected old one,
said Ogden peacefully, holding out his hand to the fire.
We travelers do not forget. We do not forget, for example, that you warriors depended on the travelers' cunning and knowledge to make plans and set their traps.
His voice dropped.
We do not forget how the travelers fed and sheltered them when they would starve on the wild plains, far from their little fields and cozy homes and well-stocked storehouses. And we do not forget how the travelers fought beside them and died too in their hundreds when they could have slipped away to safety and left them alone to perish.
He half smiles.
No, he murmured. We forget nothing, though others seem to. All too easily.
He picks up a slip daisy from the ground and looks at it thoughtfully. There was silence around the campfire. An uncomfortable silence. Then Ogden looked up. His eyes glinted, dancing like flames as his smile broadens. But still you speak truly, Lan of Rin, he purred. Your short history is a history of heroes, as we the travelers know. We know how highly you value courage. His wide lips twitched. You value it as highly as you value hard work, solid houses, full bellies, and settled ways. And that means you value it very highly indeed. We know this, though we do not pretend to understand it. And if sometimes we, useless slips, mock it, it is only because of our ignorance, people of Rin. We would sooner enter the pit of Unrin than knowingly offend you. We beg that you will forgive us, as he bows his head. Many of the people of Rin nodded solemnly, but the travelers' children smothered their giggles with the palms of their hands. Rowan knew that Ogden was making fun again, and he knew, too, that underneath the joke was something darker. Lan's words had cut into old wounds, and they had cut deeply. Alan felt it too. Rowan could tell by the nervousness in his eyes and the tightness in his mouth, but he simply nodded to Ogden and smiled at the crowd. Well, now that that's settled, he said, may I tell my story? Ogden spread out his hands. Go on, Alan, son of Sarah of Rin and Forley of the Travelers, he said coolly. The blood of both our peoples run in your veins, and our ears are open to your words.
Tell well, Alan the baker, called old Lan. But guard your rattled tongue. We want no long-winded ramblings. Take care you add nothing that's not needed to the tale.
Ogden raised his slanted eyebrows and shot a curious glance in her direction. But Rowan knew her meaning. Lan feared that, as part of his story, Alan may tell how he had found the sweet red berries growing by the mountain's caves. She feared that he would boast of how he had eaten some of them and given them to Marley, then filled his pockets with others to bring home to Rin. She feared he would divulge their secret. "Do not be alarmed, Lan," Alan said lightly. "I will not fail you." He fixed his eyes on Ogden and raised his voice. "One morning," he began, "the people of Rin woke to found that the stream what flowed down from the mountains and through the village itself had slowed to but a trickle. By nightfall, even that small flow had completely stopped." A hush fell over the crowd around the campfire. Rowan saw traveler adults stopping to listen, moving closer. He recognized Zeal, the chief forerunner, as she slipped into the circle. The travelers knew that the stream meant life to Rin and to its Bookshire herd. Even Ogden's eyes had lost their spark of mockery. Rowan closed his eyes as Alan spoke on. He didn't need to hear this story, for he had lived it, with Strong John of the Orchard, Alan the baker, Marley the weaver, Broden the furniture maker, and Val and Ellis of the mill. 6 months ago, the 7 of them had climbed the Forbidden Mountain to find the source of their dried-up stream, and tried to bring its sweet waters back to Rin. And in the end, as Sheba had foretold, it was Rowan, the smallest and weakest member of the party, who succeeded in this quest. But Rowan knew he wasn't a hero. Not really. Just as Sheba had said, he was still the same boy he had always been, shy and full of fears. It was just that now he understood that there were different kinds of courage. He now knew that if those who loved him needed help, he could feel terror, face it, and do what need be done. That knowledge warmed him. The cold, lonely feeling he had had aching in his chest ever since his father died years ago had now disappeared. He was happier now, by far than he had ever been before he climbed the mountain. As Sheba said, it had taught him well. But he did not feel a hero. He did not feel a hero. Not at all. And when people called him one, he was uncomfortable. He fidgeted now in his place on the grass. He wished with all of his heart that he could slip away, find John and his mother, talk to them. But it was impossible. It would be seen as a great discourtesy for him to leave the campfire now. He would have to wait. Anna's small hand tugged at his shirt sleeve. "They're listening," she whispered. "Look at them. Wait till they hear what you did, Rowan. Wait till they know of the dangers you faced to save the village." She puffed out her chest. "I hope they know that I'm your sister," she added. Her eyes darted around, watching the traveler children as they crouched wide-eyed by the fire. "They will not dare make fun of us after this." She nodded with satisfaction. Rowan patted the hand that clung to him. "I would not be so sure of that, Anad," he whispered back. "Travelers like to laugh. They take nothing seriously for long." All right, we'll take a quick pause there. We're not at the end of the chapter yet, but I wanted to say a hearty welcome to the people who just joined us, Myth and Mac. Nice to see you guys. Welcome in. Welcome in. Heal. All right. By the way, if anyone does want to ask questions about the story, or even just talk in general about like D&D or life or love or whatever, let me know. Just chat and chat. That's kind of what we're doing. We're just chilling out. We're having fun. Yeah. Just so you guys know. U.S. Daylight Savings messing with you. Yeah, sorry. My bad. Missed our DAG, missed DAG reads. Oh, yeah, no, I missed it too. Actually, my jaw, so those of you who knew about this, I had my wisdom tooth out, and my jaw's been swollen, and it's actually been hard to talk, and I had to cancel the last few DAG reads, because unlike, like a show, like where I could, like, take breaks, doing a read, it's just me in the room, so I can't really take breaks, so I couldn't actually do the DAG reads, but now I'm back, which I'm very happy for, so yeah, super happy about that. Also, yes, just for everyone to know, Daylight savings does start today for a lot of folks in the US, and bear in mind that I do not shift my times for daylight savings, so all the times will change across the board. Sorry, but I live in Perth, and that's just how we do. But yeah, hopefully that'll change when people get rid of daylight savings. Ha ha ha. Let's continue. How's my jaw feeling? Good. I've still got like the holes in my jaw, so like eating sucks, especially when I'm trying to eat some of my favorite food. But it's fine. It's supposed to be like, I think 10 weeks or something like that still left, so there you go. Which I appreciate. I mean, 6 months is perfect. I mean, 6 months is a perfect time. That's true, Centauri. It's very true, and hopefully it'll stay at that point. You do not bend a knee for our X's and Waynes. I do not, sir. I do not bend no knee for X's and Waynes. I barely understand what time I'm doing things for myself, let alone having to shift it for other people. Ah, poppycock. Hey, what's up, bloody? Nice to see you. Welcome in. Hey, catching me live. Yay, hey. Dragons are hungry. Oh no, quick, feed the dragons. Hold on, I can do that. Quick, feed the dragons. Dag is feeding dragons. Dag is feeding dragons. Boom, there he is. Ngum. There you go, I fed a dragon. Done. Hey, Draco, what's up? Welcome in. Guys, go check out my dear friend, a fellow Perthian gamer and all-round cool person. Dragoncore is a wonderful content creator who streams at all times. So go check them out. No, that's not how I do things on my own. I'm a professional, I swear. I got no idea what I'm doing. There we go. Boom. Is that the one? That's the one. Look at that. Hey, you did it. Oh, I can put words into my computer and make things happen. There it is. So please go check her out. And yeah, go follow their stuff. It's freaking amazing. So honestly, such a talented and very, very entertaining stream with a wonderful community. Very, very warm, very, very welcoming as well. So yeah. But welcome in. Hope you guys are having a wonderful evening. We are reading Rowan of Rin, the entire series. We are reading Book 2, Rowan and the Travelers. Just a quick recap for those of you who just joined us. The Travelers are a group of individuals who, as their name implies, travel around the continent. And Rin is a settled sort of former warrior homestead. In the first book, we saw a very heroic, epic tale sort of happen. But the Travelers have arrived unseasonably to the town of Rin. And so right now there's kind of like a bit of tension here and there. The people of Rin are trying to keep secret berries from the Travelers so that the Travelers don't steal any. But that's about it. Yeah. We haven't found out why the Travelers have come, but we suspect that there's something afoot. All right, let us continue. Alan's tale was ended. There was a silence around the dying embers of the campfire. Then the Travelers and the people of Rin alike clapped and cheered. Alan grinned at them and held out his hand to Rowan. He crouched in the shadows. Rowan knew he wanted him to stand, but he could not do it. He shrank back, not wanting the curious eyes of the Travelers to find him. So, said Ogden, stirring his fire thoughtfully. So, Alan, now I have another tale to tell through the land. The tale of Rowan of Rin. He nodded. It's a fine story, he said. And you told it well. He then smiled. But I'll tell it better. Everyone laughed, Alan loudest of all. Ogden, the storyteller, dropped his stick and leans forward. And now, Alan, we must talk in private, he said. Alan hesitated, and Ogden frowned slightly. There are questions I must ask you. He paused. You see, the mountain is a great mystery. It is said that the people of the Valley of Gold climbed it before the giants of Inspray fought and hid it from our sight. But I have long waited to meet a witness who can tell me of its wonders. Please, do not disappoint me, Alan. A small silence fell on the group around the fire. Rowan could feel that the people of Rin were holding their breath. I fear I must disappoint you, Ogden, said Alan. I cannot say. I cannot stay. My mother is tired, and I need to return her to the village. Then I will come with you, Ogden answered pleasantly. The three of us will share a cup of soup in your warm kitchen, as we so often have done before. Again, Alan hesitated. Rowan could almost feel the pain behind his smile, and pain was easy to see on Sarah's face as she stood clutching her son's arm.
We prefer, this season, that none of your tribe come to the village, Ogden of the Travelers.
Lan had stepped forward. Her voice was firm and strong, and she looked Ogden straight in the eye.
We find your visits excite the children, and they are tired after a long winter. We ask, therefore, that you respect our wishes and keep to your camp.
Not a muscle moved in Ogden's face. It was impossible. Excuse me. It was impossible to tell what he was thinking, but Rowan could see the darkening faces of Zeal and the other travelers around the fire. They were not taking this refusal well.
Perhaps you could talk another member of the mountain party, Ogden,
Sarah broke in a desperate attempt to make peace.
Strong John of the Orchard is here, and Marley the Weaver, too.
Ogden stared at her for a moment. He seemed to be thinking. Another time, I would very much like to speak with every one of the 7, he said politely at last. But for now, his piercing eyes searched the faces around the camp. Let me meet the boy Rowan. He, in particular, is of interest to me. Rowan shuffled to his feet. He felt his ears grow hot. He felt Anad pushing at him excitedly. He knew that he was going to have to stand and go forward to meet the man by the fire, but he did not want to do it. He did not want to do it at all. He forced himself to his feet and stumbled forward. He felt the eyes of the crowd upon him, but the only eyes he saw were Ogden's, deep, dark, and drawing him in. That is the end of chapter 7. Welcome in, Hester. It is good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Oops, you're late. Sneaks into the back. Now you can start sneaking into the back. There's only front row seats here at DAG's channel. Welcome in, buddy. Thank you so much for the 21-month sub. Hope you're doing well. You haven't missed too much. The tale of Rowan of Rin, the adventures that happened in book 1 of this of the tale, have just been told to the storyteller of the traveling nomad group that has just arrived in town. Now, just to recap super quick, the town is trying to keep them out of the village so that they don't learn about the mountain berries that they've found. They don't know why the travelers have come so unseasonably early, and a whole bunch of mysteries are currently surrounding what is going on. So there you go. There you go. And always, this is a chill stream, so if you guys have things you want to talk about, questions you want to ask about the story, about your day, you know, just let me know. Let me know. Whew. Boomer smiley. No, is there boomer smileys? Why are there boomer smileys? Just have smileys. Smileys are fine. All right. Where am I? Why am I so far over this way? I need to go that way. Come on. There we go. Ugh. All right. There it is. Boom. Looking good. Maybe too far. There. Be cool. Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah. It'll do. Green screen looks like garbage. Don't know why, but it does. And it'll do. All right. Chapter 8. The Storyteller. So, Rowan of the Bookshire, said Ogden, putting out a thin brown hand to beckon him closer. We have much to talk about. This is the second time I've heard of you this day. You were on the hill with the welcomers, I am told. Rowan nodded. He remembered the curious looks on the He remembered the curious looks the Forerunners had given him. So they had remembered his name and reported it to Ogden. Why, he wondered,
Why had they been so interested in the messenger boy? Ogden put his head to one side. You think and wonder much, do you not? He said in a low voice. More perhaps than most of your people, and perhaps you sometimes feel apart from them. Because of this, perhaps you maybe feel the most quietly contented, tending the great beasts you serve. Would that be so, Rowan of the Bookshire? Rowan stood motionless, not knowing what to do. Was this man able to see into his mind? Into his very soul? He looked nervously behind him. Where was his mother and Anad? Where was John? He saw that they were watching a traveler magician making a small silver bell appear and disappear. The magician's hands moved like a fluttering bird, throwing the bell this way and that so that it shone in the firelight, winking in and out of sight. Anad's mouth hung open in wonder. Do not fear me, said Ogden. Still in that very quiet and gentle voice. I mean you no harm. I merely wish to ask you some questions. Simple questions. I wish to understand you better. Rowan felt his cheeks growing even hotter. He made himself stand straighter and prepared himself to meet whatever was coming. He knew that it would be difficult to lie to this man with his all-seeing eye. Rowan didn't know what he would do. If Ogden, the storyteller, asked him directly if anyone had brought something down from the mountains. But to his puzzlement and relief, Ogden did not. He asked instead about Rowan's mother and his father. He asked about the Bookshire and the life that Rowan had led. And at the end of questioning, he took the boy's chin in his hand and looked deep into his eye. Honest as the day is long, he said, dropping his hand. He glanced at Rowan's bewildered face, and his lips curled briefly. Your ordeal is ended, Rowan of the Bookshire. He sighed deeply. You're free to go, with my blessing. Rowan ducked his head and carefully moved back from the fire. When he dared to glance up, Ogden had put his hands behind his head and was gazing up at the starry sky, his brow deep and furrowed, as if the worries of the world had somehow settled on his shoulders. Rowan turned and then scurried away. Hey, welcome in, raiders! Welcome. Oh, wow, we got 2 raids. Jeez, guys, welcome in. First of all, big shout out and welcome to our friends over from the G of D channel. Hope you guys had fun. Cyberpunk looked like a lot of fun. It's one of those games I still haven't gotten around to playing, but, you know, like, with my schedule, it's not likely. But I do love watching people play it. It is a thrill and a joy, especially when done by such a talented performer and artist, such as our dear friend G of D. Guys, if you are watching my stream and you haven't checked out G, go check them out. They are an amazing content creator. And of course, thank you for the follows from the people who have come in. For those of you who don't know, my name is Michael. I'm the Dead Aussie Gamer. I do TTRPG stuff, and then on Sundays I do some light, chill reading stuff. We just hang out. We just chill. There you go. If you have any questions about the story as it unfolds, it's a young adult book, so it's pretty, you know, like, explanatory as it kind of keeps going. But if you have any questions, do ask. I am more than happy to stop and chat and you know, answer questions. Or if you just want to, you know, shoot the breeze, this is just a nice chilled out, you know, late night stream. There you go. This story, by the way, Rowan of Rin, is the tale of a Bookshire farmer, Bookshire kind of like bison kind of things, who went on a big adventure in book 1, up a mountain filled with perils, with 6 of the strongest warriors of their village to try and restore the stream which had stopped running. I won't go into too much detail because that's all, you know, in the other books and stuff. But they managed to do so, and Rowan showed strength that none of the others had. And now in this book, we see the kind of aftermath of all that. 6 months later, Rowan is, you know, kind of still kind of finding like himself not having changed too much. You know, like he values his own way of doing things now, which is great. But he doesn't feel like a hero like everyone is claiming him to be. The village of Rin has been visited by travelers, and there's some tension between the travelers, but we're still uncovering more about that as we go. So that's the rough in of what we're doing. So yeah, please enjoy as we continue.
Soon after, Rowan walked home with Anad, Giller, and Strong John. Anad being Rowan's sister, Giller being his mother, and Strong John being John of the Orchard, who fancies Rowan's mother after his father died. It was past Anad's usual bedtime, and she was sleepy. But she was still chattering about Alan's story as she trotted along, bubbling with pride and excitement. Soon afterwards, Rowan... sorry. My bad. I read that line already. Rowan looked at his mother, striding tall and strong beside him. Despite her anger over the decision to forbid the travelers from entering the village, she looked livelier than she had for many days. The visit to the hills had done her good. Should he tell her and John about Sheba now? He did not really want to do that in front of Anad. Perhaps he should wait until they were home, and Anad had gone to bed. A few minutes more delay wouldn't matter one way or another. Besides, under the starry sky with his family around, his fears were starting to seem childish. The more he thought about the scene under the tree, the less certain he was that Sheba had not been tricking and teasing him. Gilla turned and saw him looking at her. "You did well, Rowan." No, that's not her voice. "You did well, Rowan." No, that's not it. Come on, Michael, you can do it. "You did well, Rowan." There we go. Yes, I've got it. "You did well, Rowan. I watched you talking to Ogden, the storyteller. You were calm and stood straight. I was so proud of you." Rowan said nothing. He still felt shaken after his time with Ogden. He was sure that the man's questions, which had seemed on the surface so simple, had some deeper meaning that he had not understood. But still, his heart was warmed by his mother's words. She did not often say such things. She thought it better to teach him to be strong and not to look for praise. "Rowan showed them," yawned Anad happily. "He showed them slips a thing or two." "Anad!" exclaimed Gilla, half shocked, half laughing. "Do not call travelers by that name." Anad yawned again. "Why not?" she asked. "Everyone else does. Everyone else calls them slips."
"Everyone else does not, little one," John put in firmly. "Your mother does not. I do not. Marley and Alan do not. Only those who wish to insult the travelers use the words."
Oh, Anad thought about that. "Why?" "Such people think that the travelers serve no useful purpose," Giller explained. "So they called them slips, after the wild slip daisies." "Why?" Anad asked again, her eyes nearly closing with weariness as she stumbled on determinedly beside them. "Why?" Rowan saw Giller and John smile at each other over Anad's head. Then John swung the little girl up into his hands. "Because the slip daisies have no use or purpose," he told her as he strode along. "When our people first came to Rin, slip daisies grew wild all over the valley, as they do still on the... I'm turning to Alan, hold on. Hey, Brune, what's up? Welcome in, and thank you so much for the bits. Lovely to see you. Hope that you are doing well. Enjoy the lurk, my friend. Let me try that again. So yeah, I started slipping it in Alan, I did. Yeah, this is Alan's voice. Alan is a bit more English.
John is just big. Yes, John is big.
Let's try it again.
When our people first came to Rin, slip daisies grew wild all over the valley, as they do still on the hills and beyond. But as useful crops were sown and houses and lanes were built, the daisies were weeded out. Other plants, it seems, do not thrive where slip daisies grow, so good farmers do not like them, as some do not like the travelers.
Anna had thought about this. "Slip daisies are not completely useless," she argued. "Their roots make medicines that Sheba sells us for Rowan's nose." John laughs.
Their pollen makes Skinny Rabbit's nose run, and then their roots make it stop.
He glances at Rowan.
The disease and the cure in one small plant. Truly, nature is very strange and wonderful.
They eventually reach Bree and Hannah's garden, and John stopped, Rowan sniffed. Even his blocked-up nose could sense the sweet scent of the mountain berries, drifting deliciously on the cool air. "I must leave you here," said John, swinging Anad to the ground. "I'm to stand guard with Bree and Hannah this night." Rowan felt a stab of disappointment. He had been sure that John would come home with them, to sit by the fire for a while, as he had done so many times before. What bad luck that on the very night that Rowan needed him, he was staying away. Jilla pulled her shawl more tightly around her shoulders. "Well, watch well," she said. "I am afraid, as the others are, that Alan will tell Ogden of the mountain berries. He has not so far, and he and Sarah left the gathering early tonight, but they may go back later, alone, and then... who knows?" "Alan is not a fool. He will keep his mouth shut. As will his mother," said John firmly. "Why do you think they left the camp early?" "They wanted to be clear to everyone that should the travelers find out about the berries, it was not Alan or Sarah who told them." "Yet Alan is half-traveler himself," Jilla argued, "and he thinks the fuss about the mountain berries is foolish." "Mother," protested Rowan, shocked by her words, "Alan would never betray us." Jilla said nothing. "I thought you were his friend," Rowan accused. "I am Alan's friend indeed, Rowan," she said gravely. "But this does not mean I can't see his faults. I agree he would never knowingly betray us, but he may not agree that telling the mountain berries would be betraying us." She bit her lip. Traveler's blood runs strongly in Alan's veins. He believes that growing things belong to all. He cannot understand why the people of Rin wish to keep this gift a secret. I know this because he has told me. He has told Marley, too. Rowan started to speak again, but John held up his hand to quiet him. "Whatever Alan does, or does not do, both he and I are fairly sure that the travelers know of the new crop already, Jilla. And if they do not, they soon will." "But how?" "Lan told Ogden that..." "Lan's insulting orders will not stop the travelers from visiting the village in the night if they so choose," John said quietly. "And they will only have to use their eyes and nose to find the mountain berries. They're everywhere." Jilla sighed. "I do not think we need to fear, Jilla," John told her gently. "There will be mountain berries in plenty in Rin next year. More than enough to ensure good trade and feasting." He smiled. "Soon mountain belly... Let's try again, shall we? Soon the mountain berries will be so many that they will be as thick as slip daisies used to be. People will start complaining about them, calling them wild and useless, and pulling them up." "I doubt that," Jilla said. Oh, Jilla laughed. "The flowers are beautiful. The scent is wondrous, and I have never tasted such sweet, rich berries. Good for eating, good for making into juice." "Will no one want my hoop berries then, when the mountain berries thrive?" John asked, hanging his head, pretending to mourn. "Will my trees disappear from the valley like the slip daisies have? Then I will have to trudge up the hills like Sheba does to harvest my crop." "That will never happen. I like hoop berries much better than mountain berries," Rowan said. "So do I," shrilled Anad. She loved the mountain berry fruits, but she loved John more. John stretched wearily. "Well, I must bid you all good night, and let you go to your warm fire," he yawned. He began to move towards the garden gate. "Oh!" Rowan heard them call as he rattled the gate. "Hannah! Bree! Open!" There was silence from the gardeners. "Bree! Hannah! You deaf or something? Let me in!" Silence. Deep, dark silence. Rowan shivered. Far away he could hear low, restless bellows from the Bookshire fields, and from the hills, faint music. There was an exasperated grunt, and then the clattering sound as John heaved himself above the locked gate and jumped down to the ground on the other side. "What do you think you're two playing at?" Rowan heard him shout. "Where are you?" If I find you snoring in your bed while I... There was a gasp, silence, then the sound of running feet, and the gate being unbolted from the inside. John's voice came again, sharp and urgent. Rowan, Jilla, come quick! End of chapter 8. Alright, that is a good roll. Well done. Yeah, kudos, Myth. Oh, by the way, Myth, I don't know if I showed you this. I don't know. Just maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Did I show you this? Did I show you this? Show you this? Oh. This is cool. I love this. This is my favorite. I'll keep it now. All right. So something's happened. We don't know what happened is. You know what? I just want to keep going. Is that weird? Hey, what's up, goblins and warlocks? Welcome in, guys. I have so many friends, and this space that we live in the internet is full of such amazing and wondrous people. And honestly, guys, goblins and warlocks, thank you so much for swinging by. I hope that you are having a wonderful and amazing weekend. Boom. The coffee just tastes so much better from the mug, doesn't it? Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And it's just, you know, it's also, you also want to be, you know, sharing, you know, coffee with a friend. You know, just, guessing it's been long enough since the wisdom teeth been removed to not be worried about straws. Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, yeah, because they did tell you, like, you can't use straws when you're there. Because, yeah, yeah. You know, honestly, when I got my wisdom teeth out, I thought I was going to have to only use straws. It's the opposite. They said, no, you can't make sucking motions because it'll mess things up. So, yeah. Actually, you know what? Not to get too deep into, like, the thing, right? But I had the stitches taken out, and when I had the stitches taken out, apparently, I then also had to get my face paralyzed because it was, like, still super sensitive. So that was fun, getting my stitches out. But now it's all clear. Now it's all good. Now it's strong jawed DAG, and that's it. But yeah, even moving. Where you moved? Where? If you don't mind me asking, and you don't mind making it somewhat public. I mean, for, like, you know, however many people are here. Where'd you move to? New state, new continent, new world. You contacting us from the ethereal plane? Let me know. Hester, thank you so much. Ouch bits. You know what? Those actually do help. They help a long way. You know what? This is just between us because we're just musing at this point. But I'm actually really trying to push for partner in the next few months. And I'm trying out a bunch of new things like hangout streams, voice acting streams, stuff like that. I want to find out, you know, what people want to donate to, you know, how bits come through, you know, what's going to get people to do subs. So I was looking at doing, like, you know, sub drives and stuff because, you know, this is kind of the livelihood, you know what I mean? And I want to get some stuff together so that I can keep producing great stuff for you guys. I want to make some new shows, some exciting things. And more importantly, I want to have the funds to be able to go and attend conventions and things and actually come see some of you guys and actually hang out and do cool things. So that's all on the cards and stuff like that. Yeah. Moved across country, same state as Darling Crucia. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, that's amazing. I mean, I didn't know if you're doing stuff with, you know, Darling, but if you do, please send them my best and my regards. I haven't yet found an opportunity to work with them yet, but I absolutely adore their streams, and they are a wonderful, wonderful content creator. And yeah, if you're moving in the area, then that's great. Did they get rid of the limitation of side class? No. But you know what? At that point in time, I don't care. Literally, no one I know has ever been caught up on the YouTube Twitch restriction thing. It's a whole thing. It's when I get to that point, if I can, I would likely prefer to just have all my stuff on Twitch and then actually have enough money earned to have an editor, you know, edit my shows, but then putting on YouTube. Right now, I'm just keeping, like, all of my shows, like, raw on YouTube, just kind of like a library more than anything else, because I don't have disk space. That's basically it. But I am thinking about starting. Sorry, not thinking. I'm actually working on starting up my my YouTube like advice page again. So that's actually coming. That's coming up soon. Actually, very soon. I'm actually waiting for an animation.
Oh, do I want to show you guys how many people are in this chat? Hold on, let's have a look. Because here's the thing. I like rewarding people for, like, coming to my random stuff. So let's see. How many people are here today? There's 19 people here. You know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek at one panel from the Dead Aussie Gamer animation that I'm getting made. That's it. And thank you so much for the $5 tip. Super appreciated. Now, this is not one of those donate to get stuff streams. Donate to help me live, and donate to help me get to the US. That is pretty much it. So yes. All right, let me get this up real quick. Okay, here we go. All right, you guys ready? Let me show you. Okay, this is just a draft picture, draft image. And this is just for you guys. So one is only going to be available for a brief moment. But this is my thanks for you guys and for the fact that, you know, you're here enjoying the late night stuff. All right, there it is. Okay, here is one of my drama panels. Oh, thank you, Centauri. See, now you make me want to show you a bit more. Okay, hold on. Here we go. This is, check that out. So this is one of our in-working panels. Hey, Sabo, nice to see you. Welcome in, welcome in. So yeah, we've got this. And you know what? Just because we got that, those that donation from Centauri, I will share another image. This is another one of the work in progress image. All right, you ready? Here it goes. This is another one of the in progress works one. I'm not gonna give you the whole animation. That's it. But check this one out, and I'll give you a hint as to who, which one of my characters this happens to be, and who that handsome devil behind me happens to be. There you go. So yes, yeah, it's got the runes on the sword as well, so that'll be really cool. But yeah, that's these are a couple of the working panels and stuff like that. Swing, yes, exactly. So so that is those guys for my show. There you go. Yeah. So, you know, like I said, the sword boy is trying to get you. No, I'm actually the sword. So the intro is like a bunch of my iconic characters put together as an animated fight sequence. So yeah, Salazar is going to be there with Peter, who I've, you know, got the artist to do Peter as Rob. So so that's going to be kind of cool. And yeah, I can't wait for you guys to see it in full swing once it's once it's all done. But honestly, guys, like, I mean, to get real here, because like I said, this is a very chill stream. We are gonna get back to read the book. I want to do really cool things with my production stuff. I want to be able to do animations for shows. I want to be able to come see you guys. I want to be able to put on big events and actually, you know, get actors and performers to come and do stuff. These are things that I need to start directing myself towards. Because right now, you guys are so generous. You guys are so kind. Your donations and stuff, they keep me going day to day, right? Like, I can pay my mortgage. I can eat decent food. You know, I can feed my incredible sugar habit. You know, stuff like that. But the next step of my journey is figuring out what I need to do and how I can bring Dead Aussie Gamer to a new level, you know, like not just, you know, stream, you know, like, but to actually, you know, do like production stuff, you know, things like that, and make you guys really happy. So that's where I get my joy. My love language is this. This is my love language. Everything you guys see me do. Something cats. We did. You know what? Not to get too sad, but you know, Jaeger, I completely agree. I actually used to have a studio cat. Unfortunately, she did pass away this year. It was very sad, and it actually made creating content really difficult, but you're absolutely right. I do have plans on getting a new family member sometime soon, and I would love, absolutely love, if they were also a studio cat. I'm not going to impose, like my feelings on whatever animal we get, whether it's a dog or a cat or a bird or whatever. And I'm definitely not going to be like, oh, they've got to replace my studio cat. But at the same time, I'm, fingers crossed, hopefully some DAG streams might turn into, DAG with a cat streams. And that would be amazing. I would absolutely love that. Yeah, having a cat cam and stuff like that would be awesome. Yeah. We do suffer the sweet tooth, guys. Yes. Still watch the VOD now and then where Salazar. I do actually watch that clip as well myself where Salazar was introduced. I was like, God damn it! I still remember one of the first games I ever played with Rob. Rob made me sit out for like half an hour to 40 minutes just to watch stuff, and I was just like, God damn it, Rob! I was like, man, like seriously, I adore Robert. I really do, and there are very few people I would trust the way that to that kind of level in regards to like just being able to sit on my hands for like that length of time and be like, are they gonna put me in, are they not gonna put me in, what's gonna happen here? But no, I knew Rob had a plan. It was really good. It was such a wonderful payoff. Are you gonna be on the next Fungin Food? Yes, I am on Fungin Food. Fued, it is in 2 weeks. No, yeah 2 weeks. It's in 2 weeks, so yes. A parrot? Might get a parrot. That'd be kind of cool. I do like parrots. Birds do live a very long time. Oh, we missed a train. Oh, that's okay. I don't do it for the trains, guys. I don't do it for the prestige. Your generosity sustains me more than any locomotion. So thank you. Thank you, guys. Super appreciated. All right. What say we continue story time? And we can accrue chats and talks and stuff like that. Just chat away, and then when we get to the end of the chapters, we'll stop and take a break and talk and stuff. All right. Chapter 9. Trouble. They bent over the two shapes huddled face down on the ground beside the mountainberry garden. Stakes lay scattered on the grass around them. They're breathing, exclaimed Jilla. Oh, they're so still that at first I thought... So did I, John said grimly. But they're alive, all right. And they will not wake. He shook Bree's shoulder. The man did not stir. You see? He said. The children, gasped Jilla. Without another word, she sprang up and ran into the darkened house that stood nearby, behind some fruit trees. Rowan waited nervously for her to return. Bree and Hannah's 3 children were not particular friends of his. They were too scornful of his shyness, and teased him too much for that. But he hated to think of them in danger, or crouching terrified in that dark house with their parents lying so still outside. In a moment, Jilla had returned. Sleeping, tucked up in their beds, she panted. They're safe enough, but I did not try to wake them. For all I know, they have the same illness as their parents. She put her hand to Bree's cheek, gleaming white in the dark shadows. He has no fever, she says. But this is not a natural sleep, John. She looked around, shivering, as though on guard for watching eyes. I feared something like this would happen, she said, puttering her arms around Anna's shoulders. I feared it as soon as I heard the children shouting this afternoon. Quickly, she glanced at the bushes in the garden. I do not know if they've been disturbed or if any fruits are missing, she muttered. I cannot tell in this darkness. John stared at her, his mouth tight. He then shook his head as though to clear it. We'll talk of this later, he said. Now we must tend to Bree and Hannah. We must move them to shelter. They are heavy, but I think between us we can manage. Do you want me to go for help? Asked Rowan. Broden's house is near, and Marley's. John hesitated. No, he finally said. I think, for now, we would be better dealing with this in our own way, Rowan. We do not want news to travel too quickly until we know. He looked straight up into Rowan's eyes. You understand? He asked. Rowan nodded. He knew as well as John what would happen if the rumors spread that Bree and Hannah had been struck down. He knew that some of the villagers would not hesitate to storm up to the travelers' camp with lanterns and torches to accuse and threaten. That would be dangerous. Dangerous to the whole of Rin. It would be much better if John and Jilla could wake Bree and Hannah and get the real story of what had happened to them.
Something simple could be at the heart of this, something that had nothing to do with the travelers at all. You can help by staying here and keeping watch, Skinny Rabbit. Hey, no worries. Fantastic seeing you again, Goblet. We'll catch you around. Miss your face, miss your stream. Can't wait to catch you next time. Alright. No task is more important now than keeping intruders from the garden. I will help, Anna insisted sleepily. I will watch too. John smiled at her, his teeth white in the dimness. I'm depending on it, Anad, he told her. Call us if there's the faintest sound to alarm you, Rowan. Sorry, that was his mother. Let's try that again, shall we? Call us if there's the faintest sound to alarm you, Rowan, warned Gilla. Rowan nodded. He watched his mother and Strong John bend to lift Bree's limp body, then begin to carry it towards the cottage that stood just beyond the garden. Gilla and John, staggering slightly under their burden, disappeared into the shadow of the house. Left alone with Anad and the sleeping Hannah, Rowan strained his eyes in the darkness. Shafts of moonlight stretched across in bands across the garden. It was quiet now. So quiet that Hannah's deep breath sounded loud. There was no sound from the Bookshire fields, no sound from the campfire on the hill. And yet the silence was not peaceful. It was like the silence of waiting, heavy and full of secrets.
The secret enemy is here. It hides in darkness. Fools beware.
Rowan felt his sister's weight grow heavy on his shoulders. He looked down and saw that her eyes were closed. Anad, he said, do you want to go in the house to sleep there? She forced her eyelids open. I don't want to sleep, she murmured. I'm keeping watch. So you are. Watch then. She nodded happily, her eyelids fluttering closed again. Rowan put his arms around her to keep her warm. He watched, peering into the darkness beyond the garden, searching the shadows for the tiniest, stealthiest movement. He listened in the deep silence for the slightest sound, and waited for the smallest sign that someone or something was lurking nearby, watching and listening as he was. But there was nothing, only a droning, chanting voice in his head. He heard his mother and John moving out of the house and towards the gardens. They were coming back for Hannah. He glanced at Anad. She was sleeping heavily now. She would not wake. He knew the time had come. John, Mother, he whispered piercingly. I have something to tell you, now. Hey, good morning, Witchy Mama. How you doing? I hope you're doing well. Hope you and, of course, the ever wonderful and delightful Beardsley is also doing well. Good to see you. Welcome. Gilla's eyes were dark with fear. What does this mean? She breathed. What does it mean? The old wheel turns? Now, at this point, just for those of you who are, not up to speed, the old witch lady in the town gave Rowan a very strange series of riddles, and that is this riddle here. Here we go.
Beneath soft looks the evil burns, and slowly round the old wheel turns. The same mistakes, the same old pride, the priceless armor cast aside. The secret enemy is here, it hides in darkness. Fools beware, for day by day its power grows, and when at last its face it shows, then past and present tales will meet. The evil circle is complete.
So, in that little bit, Rowan has now told that bumping into Sheba, the riddle, all of that has now just been told to Rowan's mother and Strong John. Rowan looked at her in surprise. He had not thought much about it, or this part of the rhyme. I don't know, he said. I don't know what any of it means, and neither does Sheba, but she is afraid. They stared at him. A cloud glided over the moon, and the garden darkened. A bird rustled in a tree nearby. Anad muttered in her sleep and stirred against Rowan's shoulders. John stood up. We need help, I think. We cannot keep this matter a secret any longer. Jilla nodded. It is late. We cannot rouse the whole village at this hour. Nor do we want to, said John grimly. Rowan must go and wake only those who can be of real help. Timon, Rowan suggested to him. Timon the teacher was the one most likely to be able to think clearly about Sheba's rhyme, and one of the villagers least likely to panic. Yes, Jilla agreed. Timon and Marley. And Alan, added John. I don't think it would be wise to bring Alan into this, Jilla said, for plainly the travelers have something to do with it. Then who better than Alan to help us? Asked John. We are fortunate to have a friend who knows the travelers' ways. Jilla said nothing, but Rowan could see that she was troubled. I will go get Timon, Marley, and Alan then, he broke in quickly. It worried him to see John and his mother disagree. There was a time when he had hated the idea of that one day strong John of the Orchard might marry Jilla, becoming his stepfather, but now he felt differently. John would never take his father's place in his heart, but he had made his own place. The place of a good and special friend, to be depended on and loved in his own way. Yes, Rowan, Jilla said quietly, and also bring Lan. Rowan and John stared at her in surprise. She returned their looks gravely. I've been thinking of the rhyme. The old wheel turns, it said. And it talks of the same mistake and the same old pride. It seems to me that it is telling us that whatever trouble we are facing, we have faced before. Rowan's heart thudded, and then he suddenly remembered what Sheba had said before the chant began. The enemy is coming again, she had said. The wheel is turning, and this time. He repeated the last line of Sheba's chant aloud. For day by day its power grows, and when at last its face it shows, then past and present tales will meet. The evil circle is complete. He shuddered. He knew his mother was right. Something dreadful was going to happen, and it had happened before. Slowly the wheel of time and fate was turning. Some evil force, some evil circle was forming. And when it made a perfect whole. Jilla looked at John. The answer to this lies in our past, she says. I'm sure of it. He nodded slowly. Lan is the oldest person in the village, she went on. She remembers much that even the books do not tell us. If the trouble we face now has happened before, Lan will know of it. She may be able to help us stop it before the wheel turns any further. You are right, exclaimed John. He spun around to Rowan. Go then, he ordered. Go quickly. End of Chapter 9. Chapter 10. The Secret Enemy. Welcome in, Kethra. Hello, hello. Countless moons ago, I had a black lotus. Too bad I stopped playing. Ah, man. Duh, don't even get me started on Magic the Gathering stuff. I used to have 3 or 4 chests filled with Pokemon cards. And if you're talking like first edition Charizards, I had like 12 in that box. And it was stolen from me at a school swimming competition. Where I went there to sell cards, ironically. And yeah, someone like pinched my my like literal like freaking massive like display thing that I had. Not impressed, not happy, but yeah. Hopefully they went to good homes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it sucks. Oh man, hot chocolate sounds amazing. But yeah. Yeah, it is. But you know what you gonna do? But I used to love card games back in the day. Same with Yu-Gi-Oh! Still got a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. And I think I sold all my Magic the Gathering ones, save for 1 or 2 decks that I still have. So I run a black deck, and I did it before Planewalker, so I don't have a Planeswalker. It's a zombie deck.
Don't know what happened to my Pokemon first. I think Mom threw them away. Yeah, probably. Yep. Sounds like the way that most of those cards ended up going. All right. The Secret Enemy. Timon stroked his chin.
The book tells us that hunger has always been an enemy for Rin to fear. We've faced it several times when our crops have failed.
No, is this his voice? What was his voice?
Timon, hello. No, yes, no, quite, no. I'd like to buy a box of biscuits. Yes, no, I'd like to buy a box of biscuits. Yes, there, that's it. All right, yeah, yes, no, I've got it now.
Timon stroked his chin.
The book tells us that hunger has always been an enemy of Rin. He suggested, we have faced it several times when the crops have failed or the winter snow has cut through the village and cut us off from the coast for too long.
I doubt that that's the enemy of the rhyme, though, said Jiller. The rhyme says that the enemy is already here, in hiding perhaps, so we do not recognize it, but here.
I believe we should go to Sheba, Marley says. We should ask her what the rhyme means.
She does not know, Rowan exclaimed. I told you.
She did not know when you spoke to her, Rowan, John answered. But by now, her knowledge may have grown. We should still try.
Old Lan nodded.
True enough,
she said, pointing her stick at Rowan.
The boy should go, and Jiller and John with him. The rest of us will stay here with the sleepers. Timon will be company for me. Marley can guard the mountain berries.
And I? Asked Anad with a twisted smile.
I want you here under my eye, Alan the baker.
Oh, wait, no, that was Alan. Sorry. I thought that was Anad. It was not Anad. Let's try that again.
And I?
Asked Alan with a twisted smile.
I want you here under my eye, Alan the baker, said Lan calmly, in case you decide to take a walk up to the hills.
Alan's face darkened with anger, but he kept silent. The orchard was dimly lit by moonlight, as Rowan, John, and Jilla did not speak, while they moved through the hoopberry trees, treading carefully so as not to crush the sweet herbs and tender mountainberry bushes that clustered underfoot. It was very quiet. No birds rustled in the trees. There was no sound from the Bookshire fields. They climbed through the fences that had marked the end of the orchard and began to quickly go over the pale grass that grew in front of Sheba's hut. The door stood open, and light streamed flickering from the room beyond. Light and the long shadow of someone moving around. Rowan felt his heart begin to beat faster. He glanced at his mother. Her face was set and determined, but he could tell by her rapid breathing that she too was afraid. They reached the door and looked inside. Sheba was there, bent over a great iron pot that hung over the glowing fire. She was muttering to herself as she continued to stir the brew. Sheba, Jilla said softly. The old woman turned. She stared blankly at Jilla and John, and then she saw Rowan. Her eyes glazed and widened, threw up her hands with a cry of fear as if to protect herself.
Leave me! Leave me. No, I'm an old witch, yes. Yes, no, leave me, she grasped. Leave me be and take your nightmare face away.
Rowan stepped back in shock.
We need to talk to you, Sheba, said John urgently. The rhyme you gave Rowan, what is its meaning?
She shook her head, shutting her eyes.
Leave me, she moaned. Leave me to do my work. There is no time left.
The firelight leapt up behind her. The evil-smelling brew in the cauldron bubbled. The work does not matter now, The work does not matter now, Jiller exclaimed. The rhyme is what matters, Sheba. You must tell us what you know.
I know nothing,
the old woman droned.
Nothing but my nightmares, and all of it, all is coming true. I feel it, even now. The wheel is turning, and soon the enemy will be upon us. Soon.
Sheba, help us, John begged. But Sheba's face was empty.
I must make the brew. This I can do. Is what I know. The boy, take him away. His face haunts my dreams. The face, the kites, the golden owl with green eyes.
Rowan heard his own strangled gasp, and his mother cried sharp.
All of them torment me.
Sheba thrust her finger into her hair and swayed.
I do not know why. I only know that I must work. I must go on. I'm tired. So tired.
She took a staggering step towards them.
Leave me, tormentor!
She screeched, looking directly at Rowan.
Leave me!
Jilla put an arm around her son and held him tightly. Let us go, said John. There is nothing more for us here. Old Lan hobbled to the partly open window. For a moment she stared out at the tall figure of Marley still standing on guard by the mountain berries. Then she turned to face the others. 3 kites. What can this mean but the travelers? And the golden owl with 3 green eyes is a symbol of the travelers' tales in the Valley of Gold. We must take good note of these visions. Sheba may not know what they mean, but they are a warning. Of that there is no doubt. She said the wheel was turning, said Jilla fearfully. She'd said that soon the enemy would be upon us.
Yes, but what enemy?
Frowned Timon.
Why look for secrets? Why look for secret meanings to the words?
Lan answered in a tired voice, quite unlike her usual fierce tones.
Rin has only ever had one real enemy, the Zebek. We must arm ourselves and prepare for war.
It's a very fast jump, old lady, but sure. There was silence in the cheery, well-lit living room. Rowan looked up at his mother. She had been to the bedroom to check on Bree and Hannah, still sleeping in their strange, unnatural sleep. She had returned just in time to hear Lan's words. Now she stood by the door, her hand pressed tightly together, her eyes flickering to Anad curled up on the couch in the corner, then to John sitting at the big table, and finally to him. She's afraid for us, thought Rowan. He watched her move swiftly over to the table and take a seat again. She seemed exhausted. Grey shadows marked the skin under her eyes. Her face was pale. There has been no word of the Zebak coming again, Lan, she argued, leaning across the table. No news from the Maris folk of the strange ships. No news from the Maris folk of any strange ships near the coast or rumors of the sea.
It has been a long and hard winter, girl, said Lan. No one from Rin has been to the coast since autumn. How do we know what's even happening there? The Maris folk could have been defeated and enslaved even now. The travelers would know, Timon put in. Oh, and the Forerunners said they had no news.
They said they had no news to tell us, Timon, John corrected. That is a different thing entirely from having no news at all. He looked at Alan. The Forerunners were keeping something back. I could feel it. It could be that the travelers know something that they cannot, or will not tell for their own reasons. Nonsense, said Alan, looking their way. Lan glared at him.
Is it?
She demanded. Alan met her stern look with a calm one of his own. Yes, he said quietly. The travelers would not keep news of a Zebak invasion from us, not only because they are our friends, but because, as you pointed out at the camp this very night, Lan, it is because they need us. This is true, Lan, nodded John. The travelers do not wish to be enslaved to the Zebak any more than we do. As Ogden told us this night, they well remember the War of the Plains, and they remember too the great battles before that, when our ancestors first came to this place and were freed.
Not just these, either, Timon's soft voice puts in. There are travelers' tales of the Zebak invasions going back for ages past. According to their people and legends, they were fighting a great battle against the Zebak on the coast at the same time as the giants of Inspray were fighting in the mountains for the Valley of Gold.
Land scolded.
Giants of Inspray, the Valley of Gold, children's stories.
Timon cleared his throat.
Perhaps, he said. Fact and fantasy often mingle when a history is passed down only in pictures and the spoken word, as the traveler history is. But it seems true enough that the Zebak have always wanted to take this land. They've tried many times before we even came here.
And they have always failed, Jilla reminded them.
Yes, Timon agreed. Their might has never been a match for the Maris folks' wit, the travelers' folks' knowledge of the land. In the end, they were always forced back, driven away. And then they brought our race to these shores, and this was a fatal error, added Land with satisfaction. They thought to add to their strength with an army of warrior slaves, but instead the slaves rose up and turned against them, joining with those that they'd wished to conquer. For the past 300 years, instead of 2 people defending this land, there have been 3.
She paused as a shadow crossed her wrinkled face.
But we must consider whether there are 3 still, my friends. Or whether, as the witch's rhyme warned us, treachery is in the air.
What do you mean? Cried Alan angrily. Timon rubbed his hand across his eyes.
Look, we must not let our feelings guide us, Alan. We must consider everything. What if...
He hesitated, glancing at John and Jilla, and then went on.
What if the Zebak, realizing they cannot win this land by strength alone, have grown cunning? What if they have made promises to the travelers? Promises to give them something they dearly want, perhaps, in return for their help?
The travelers want for nothing. What could a Zebak possibly promise them? Alan demanded.
Something they could get from no one else, Timon said simply. The Zebak could promise to use their might to help the travelers brave the pit of Unrin and find the Valley of Gold.
End of chapter 10. Whew! Alright. Things are getting spicy. So, what do we know? Nothing. That's it. We know absolutely nothing. Oh my god. Oh man. This is wild. My brain is racking. Like there's a traitor in their midst. How did the 2 gardeners get put to sleep? Oh, thank you so much, Hester. That means so much to me. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm really hoping that especially with the voice acting stuff, that as I start practicing and doing it more, I'm gonna be able to like improve my thing. Oh, sorry, Myth. My bad. Yeah. No, I'm kind of fading a little bit. Let's see, how much left in this chapter? Oh, there's not much for this one. Alright, you know what? I will read one more chapter for the night, and then we'll call it. But yeah, no, I have no idea. I have no idea what to expect. I remembered, like, when I read this book as a kid, I read book 1, and book 1 was amazing, right? But I remembered reading maybe, like, what did I read? I didn't read the Rowan and the Travelers. I read Rowan and the Keeper of the Crystal, which is the 3rd book. And then that was it. So I haven't actually read the whole series from start to finish. So this is actually the first time I'm doing that. So yeah, I don't know. I think I'm kind of like, the Zebak are like an invasive, like kind of warring kind of group. The Maris folk are like fish people, and the travelers are kind of like, you know, like land travelers and stuff. And I'm thinking like, maybe the Maris betrayed them. Maybe the travelers are betraying them. Maybe no one's betraying anyone. Maybe she was just gone mad. Who knows? Okay, I'm going to grab a quick drink of water, and I'll return. And then we'll read one more chapter, and then we'll call it a night and go raid someone, because that's what we do. We love people. We're going to go raid them. Imagine a game run in this world. Yeah, man. Oh, it'd be because, I mean, the thing is
it is a no magic system, so it'd be very easy to run a game in this world. That would be a lot of fun. I'd really enjoy it. All right, I'll be back. All right. Got my bottle of water. Yes, that's right. Got my bottle of water. Oh, hey, thank you so much, Centauri. Chair stream. I love the chair streams. Making Rob proud. There you go. Enjoy that. Remind your viewers to follow. Hey, if you haven't followed us, give us a follow. Why not? Thank you. Thank you, random chat box. That's a lie. Straight up. Okay. Ooh. Nothing wakes you up than frozen cold water. Whew. Okay, here we go. Everyone needs chair bits. Everyone needs the chair bits. The best mug. It really is the best mug. I just gotta make sure I don't forget that I've got that mug if I'm on like somebody else's stream. Just in case I take a drink and then I just flip off everyone in chat. That would be bad. Okay. Chapter 11. You're gonna love this. You ready? Chapter 11. Betrayal. The room fell silent. In everyone's mind, Rowan knew. There was only a single thought. Timon was right. The one thing that could tempt the travelers was the chance to find the legendary place of all goodness that was at the heart of their tales. To rediscover, after thousands of years, the great, wise race of people who had been the travelers' friends and allies.
Think what it would mean to Ogden to be the leader who gained for his people such happiness, said Timon. The Pit of Urin has always been a forbidden place to the travelers. They cannot enter it any more than they can climb the mountain. If it is to be defeated, others must do the deed, and Ogden knows that neither we nor the Maris folk would offer to help to find the valley. Why would we? No, come on, what's the accent? Old lady. Yes, no, why would we waste our time and endanger lives on such a quest? Lan said at last. The Valley of Gold is a legend. It doesn't exist.
The travelers believe it does. Alan's voice was flat and cold. They believe it as they believe the sun will rise in the east and set in the west. They have no doubts. Suddenly he pushed back his chair and half stood. He was shaking his head violently. No, he shouted. No. The travelers would never be taken in by Zebek promises. Never. Not even for this. Not even for the Valley of Gold. They are our friends. They would never betray us. Timon bowed his head.
The Zebak may at last have learnt the lessons of the travelers, he said. They may have learnt that you catch more bees with honey than with black looks and fighting words. They might, by trickery and lies, have turned the travelers against us, Alan. Who knows?
Rowan stared. Beneath soft looks and the evil burns, he looked quickly at his mother and John. Had they realized how closely Timon's word matched the rhyme?
Amazing, by the way. Sorry, I just saw a dragons are hungry thing. Yes, please do so. That'll be hilarious. I love it. By their faces, he could see that they had, and more. They were remembering Sheba's visions. 3 kites, and traveler kites, and gold. Sorry, and a golden owl with green eyes. He heard again Ogden's voice. Valley of Gold. Houses painted with beautiful patterns, each one different. Before each house, a golden bird, an owl with emerald eyes. Before he could say anything, there was a groan from the room beyond. Jilla sprang to her feet and ran to where Bree and Hannah lay. Everyone else quickly followed. Bree was stirring, tossing his head on his pillow. It was stuffy in the little room. Timon had turned and threw open the windows. The cool night air streamed in, bringing with it the scent of the mountain berries and the new grass, but no sound. No sound at all.
Bree! What happened? Asked Lan sharply. Tell us! Come on, man, make an effort!
Bree's eyes slowly opened. He gazed in bewilderment at all the people crowded into his small bedroom. Then he turned his head and saw his wife still unconscious in the bed beside him. Hannah! He groaned as he reached out for her. She is still asleep, Bree, as you have been. Bree, we need to know. What happened? We were building a fence, Bree mumbled, around the mountainberry plants to protect them from thieving sips that might be coming at night. It's a hard voice. Let's try that again. Alan made a sharp sound of disgust and protest. Jilla shook her head at him. She wanted Bree to go on. I was pounding stakes into the ground, said Bree. Pounding them in, then sharpening the tips. But the ground was hard, like iron it seemed. The stakes would not go in very far. However hard I hammered them. I got so tired, and then Hannah tried, and while I rested. But in the end, even she had to give up. Rowan saw the adults around the bed look at each other, and over at Bree's head. This was very strange. The soil in the garden was rich and moist. Stakes should have entered easily as a knife into soft butter. I was so tired, Bree sighed. So tired I had to lie down to rest. So tired. His eyelids drooped and his mouth fell open. Bree! Cried John, shaking him, but Bree did not answer. He was asleep again, and this time would not wake.
He's enchanted, growled Lan, angrily beating her stick on the ground. He and Hannah too, not content with betraying us to our enemies. Sorry. Not content with Let's try that again. Also, hi, Evie. Hello. He is enchanted, growled Lan, angrily beating her stick on the ground. He and Hannah too. Not content with betraying us to our enemy, the Slips are after the mountain berries. They harden the ground to prevent fences being built in. They put the gardeners to sleep and... Perhaps they did it. They did put the gardeners to sleep. What? Perhaps they did put the gardeners to sleep, hissed Alan. But if they did, Lan, what of it? It's a harmless enough trick. It had nothing to do with the Zebaks or Sheba's rhyme. You lurch from one thing to the next, you people, without any thought, guided only by your dislike of the travelers. That's not so, Alan. It is, he shouted, shaking it off. It is not, roared Lan, banging her stick. Be still, Alan the baker. Jilla slipped quietly from the room. Rowan followed. He found her bending over Anad, still lying on the couch. She straightened up to face him, her forehead creased with worry. I do not like this, Rowan, she said. I already feel the trouble coming upon us, and we are arguing and fighting among ourselves when we should be banding together to face whatever is coming. Only that way we can be strong. Rowan nodded. He felt close to despair. Sheba's words drifted once again into his mind. The same mistakes, the same old pride, the priceless armor cast aside.
Was this what the rhyme had meant? If so, then Sheba was right, and the evil circle was already nearing completion. The wheel was turning, every moment bringing the enemy closer and closer. He shuddered. Do you think Timon will be all right? Jilla murmured. Do you think Timon could be right? Jilla murmured. Could the travelers have turned against us? But then why would they have come? Rowan said.
To spy, said Lan from the bedroom door. What a way to enter a room. Rowan watched her hobble to the fire. Her face looked withered and exhausted as she lowered herself painfully into an armchair.
They have come here to spy on us, she said, to report to their new friends on our food and supplies and arms.
Her head drooped as she struggled to raise it.
I tire, she mumbled. So tired.
John quickly crossed the room and knelt beside her. The old warrior feebly waved him away.
The Sips have come to spy on us, she repeated.
Then Rowan saw her eyes widen.
Or something worse, she muttered.
She twisted in her chair to stare at them wildly.
Oh, we've been blind, she shrieked. Bree, Hannah!
She tried to get to her feet, but fell back with a groan.
Lan, what's wrong?
Jilla cried in fear. She put her hand to her mouth and looked down at Anad, but her voice had not disturbed the little girl. She did not stir. A shadow of puzzlement passed over Jilla's face.
Marley! groaned Lan. Quickly!
Alan looked at her sharply and went to the door. He pulled it open to call Marley, but the tall figure standing in the garden did not turn or reply. John and Timon stepped forward, but Alan was already running. They had heard the voices calling more and more urgently in the silence of the night.
Marley! Marley, answer me! He will rouse the village, worried Timon.
But nothing stirred, least of all Marley. For when, in answer to Alan's desperate cries, Rowan, John, and the others rushed to his side and found him clutching and shaking in terror, while she remained still, Marley fixed, staring. She breathes, says Jilla, bending over Marley's rigid body, laying it down by the fire. But
she will not wake, mumbled Lan. One by one we are falling prey to this witchery, and this is the plan. We sleep, and then...
Her voice trailed off as she falls back into the chair. It hides in darkness. Fools beware. With a cry, Jilla jumped up and put her hand on the old woman's forehead, but she did not move. Jilla turned away, tight-lipped, and went to the couch where Anad lay.
This is odd. Why has no one come to find out what's happening here? Asked Timon suddenly. Alan's shouts should have alone brought a dozen people running by now. Broden's house is just nearby. There are many others. Many others.
Perhaps they did not hear, said John gravely. Perhaps they are sleeping too deeply, like Bree and Hannah's children, like Bree and Hannah themselves, like Marley and now what seems to be Lan.
Jilla made a small anguished sound from her place on the couch. As they looked at her, she licked her dry lips. And Anad, John, she whispered. Anad. She's like the others. Rowan felt his stomach turn over. He ran over to the couch and shook Anad violently, but the little girl did not move. He spun around to Alan, his eyes stinging. Alan! He shrieked. Alan, you have to tell the travelers to stop it. Alan stepped back. His face was white. It cannot be, he said. It cannot. He then looked at Marley on the floor. Lan slumped in the chair, Jilla on the couch over the small bundle. I will go, he said softly. And if this is my people's doing, I will have it stopped. I will, I swear. He gripped John's arm. Ring the bell in the square, he garbled. Ring it loud and long until some people come. We cannot be the only souls in our sense this night.
I will go, said Timon. Jilla and John, you can stay here with the sleepers to see that no further harm comes to them. You, Alan, go to the camp on the hill. Now go quickly, and do not go alone. Take Rowan with you.
No, cried Jilla. Why Rowan?
Ogden knows Rowan now, and he respects him as the hero of the mountain, said Timon. He seems to recognize something in that boy tonight, something he found interesting and that he liked. Next to Alan, Rowan is our best messenger.
Yes, agreed John. Rowan should go. Sheba says that she keeps seeing his face in his dreams, in her dreams. Perhaps he has a role to play in this mystery for now.
Jilla nodded and slumped wearily back into the couch, with Anad's head on her lap. She looked exhausted. The gray smudges under her eyes had darkened to black.
Mother, don't go to sleep,
warned Rowan. Alan pulled at his arms.
Come now, he urged. Let's hurry.
They left the house and began to run through the village. Already the first pale signs of dawn were streaking through the sky. As they reached the trees where Rowan had met Sheba, they heard the bell begin its warning clang. Rowan imagined Timon standing alone in the square, his long fingers grasping the bell rope, pulling it over and over again. His ears would have been deafened by the bell. His eyes would have been searching in the dark for people half awake from their beds to answer his call. Rowan and Alan burst from the trees and began racing up the hill. Rowan ran with his head down, panting, gasping. He heard Alan's curse, felt him falter and slow.
What is it?
He choked.
Alan?
Alan stopped.
Look,
he said and pointed. The hill where the travelers were camped was bare and empty. They had gone. Why you like this book? I'm gonna read one more chapter. I can't leave it there! Urgh! How many chapters are there in this? Okay, you know what? There's like 20-something chapters. We're good. I'm gonna read one more. Yeah, I'm gonna read one more, goddammit. Because I will... By thunder, that is not how I'm ending the stream. God damn it. Ah! Okay, I'm good. I'm fine. 3 hours later. Yes, that's it. Oh, man. Let's get some more water in me. That's the answer. It is cold, it is frozen, makes me angry, and gives me energy to keep moving. Okay, lost so many hours to good books. Yeah, that's true, that's true. Oh, okay. Let's do this! Because they couldn't have not been there! Okay. Alan bent to feel the ashes of Ogden's fire. Still warm, he said. They moved out only a few hours ago. Why did they go? Exclaimed Rowan. So silently and without saying goodbye? Alan's mouth tightened. Perhaps they were hurt and angry because the villagers and their so-called friends had been forbidden to them. Because the village of their so-called friends had been forbidden to them. Rowan looked at his lean face, outlined against the lightening sky. At this moment, his hair ruffled and his dark eyes secret. Alan looked very little like a man of Rin, and now very much as a traveler. Or perhaps, the man went on, in a hard voice, they left because they had done... Oh, who's this? Oh no, there we go. This is still a guy. One does not simply read one chapter. Yes, that's it. Hey, thank you so much for the follow, King Tama. DAG, I love cliffhangers. I do love cliffhangers. Okay, let me try reading that line again. It's a very weirdly written line, but let me try. Or perhaps, the man went on in a hard voice, they left because they had done what they'd come to do.
Perhaps Old Lan is right. Rowan caught his breath. We must go back to the village, Alan said abruptly. He started down the hill. Alan, Rowan cried. What are we going to do? We're going to visit my mother and yours, said Alan, quickening his pace. We're going to get food and water, and then we're going to find the travelers and get to the heart of this matter, for good or ill, before it's too late. If the Zebak are coming... But Alan, Rowan panted, struggling to keep up with him. How? Where? Alan glanced at the boy beside him. His voice softened. Rowan, do not ask questions. Save your breath. We must hurry. The village was quiet as they entered it. The ringing of the bell had stopped, but Rowan's heart leapt with relief as he heard the low voices coming from the town square. People were awake and gathered there then. And they were not shouting in fear or panic. They were talking quietly to each other. It's all right, he said to Alan. Oh, sorry, no. It's all right, he said to Alan eagerly. People are there. Maybe Anad's woken too, and Marley and the others. But Alan's face looked set and grave. Wait. They turned a corner and reached the square. Timon was still standing by the bell. A dozen people gathered around him. Others were moving into the square from the laneways all around, and still others were quietly walking away. Rowan blinked at the scene before him, and in that blink his hope had vanished. The gathering was all wrong. He had been pleased that there were no shouts of panic, but there should have been much more noise than this. There should have been far more movement, too. There should have been children running excited by the unexpected call. There should have been people walking briskly around, wanting to hear the news, wanting to know why they had been so rudely awakened. But there was none of that. There were no children in the gathering, and the adults who were there seemed to be wandering in a daze. Their faces were dreamy and their voices low. Some hadn't even bothered to put a coat over their nightclothes, but trailed around in their white gowns and shirts, shivering barefoot and trousled. The hell is that word? Tousled. Tousled? Barefoot and tousled. 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 Like ghosts. Don't know what that word is. Gotta find out. Hey Google, tell me what this word means. I want to be a smart boy. How do I spell it? Tousled. Untidy.
Tousled.
Tousled. So read that again.
Tousled.
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 Tousled. What a wicked word I just learned. Tousled. Sounds like bedhead. Yeah, could be. I mean, just generally untidy, sounds like. Barefoot and tousled. There you go. They were awake, yet not awake. It was as though they had simply stirred in the middle of sleep and would at any moment turn to sleep again. Even as Rowan watched, he saw Neil the potter sigh and sink slowly to the ground. The paving stones must have been very cold, but he curled up on them as though they were his own soft mattress and closed his eyes. Rowan clapped his hands over his mouth to stop him from crying out. Alan crossed the square in 3 strides and grabbed Timon's arm. The teacher slowly turned, and to his horror, Rowan saw that his face too was blank and empty. Alan shook his arm. Timon, he called. Timon, wake! Ring the bell again! He caught the bell rope himself and pulled it furiously. The sound of the bell rang out shockingly loud in the square. The people turned to look and blink, but then turned away again. Timon! Shouted Alan. Timon's face cleared for a moment. He licked his lips. It is too strong, Alan, he mumbled. It is growing, and I cannot fight it any more. And the others, he shook his head. Alan spun around to see Rowan. Come with me, he said. He began to push his way through the people milling in the square. They barely looked at him or Rowan. They just moved aside gently as he passed them, like grass bending in the wind. The bakery door was closed, and Alan pushed it open, walking through the cool, dark kitchen to the back of the house. Mother! He cried sharply. But there was no answer. Mother! Alan called again. Answer me! Still no sound disturbed the silence. Rowan watched helplessly as Alan darted from room to room, shouting, banging on doors. He saw the back door was open and went outside. The neat back garden lay spread out before him, dim and sweetly perfumed. And there... Alan, he gasped. Sarah was lying back in an old wooden chair on the grass, in an overturned cup limp in her hand. Alan bent over. He touched her with a trembling hand. She was here, drinking soup when you came for me last night. She must have been overtaken after I left. She's been here ever since, in the dark and cold. Her clothes are wet with dew. He buried his face in his hands. What is happening here? He groaned. By my life, Rowan, what is happening? How could the travellers do this? To Sarah, who loved them. Last night she was laughing with Ogden himself, and now... He gathered the limp body of his mother into his arms and staggered towards the house. Go to the kitchen and get bread and water, he barked over his shoulder. And quickly, Rowan. Quickly. We must get to John and the others as soon as we can, and go for the travellers before we too are overtaken, and there is no one left standing in the whole of Rin. The sun is coming up, and the enemy... But Rowan was already hurrying to the bakery kitchen, stuffing rolls into his bag, and filling flasks with water from the great jug that stood beside the door. In a moment he was back by Alan's side. He watched as Alan covered his mother with a rug and leant over, fumbling with something on the back of her neck. Alan, come on, he urged. Alan straightened, pushed his hand deep into his pocket, and nodded. With a shock, Rowan saw the paleness of his face and his hollow eyes. Alan, he cried in fear. You... Alan nodded. Yeah, I feel it, he murmured. It is a heaviness growing, and I... Rowan tugged at his arms. Come quickly. Come to the gardens. Do not stand still. Perhaps it is our movement that keeps the illness from come! He tugged Alan out of the living room and through the kitchen to the front door. Then he pushed him out into the streets and took his hand. Run, he whispered. Run, Alan! And they ran. Rowan could hear Alan gasping by his side. All around them, the streets, people were laying on the hard stone, and now that it was even lighter, Rowan could see the others. Some were slumped in chairs in their garden like Sarah had been. Others were lying by wells with overturned buckets by their side. Sola the sweetmaker hung half in, half out of his window. A group of children who had been chatting around Ogden's fire only hours before now lay sprawled together underneath the teaching tree, and still in their clothes that they had worn to the storytelling the night before. Rowan pulled Alan through the square. They had to step over the bodies of people who lay there. Timon stood by the bell, his hand still on the rope, his eyes unseeing. Rowan called to him, but not a flicker crossed the teacher's face. They began to run for the garden, and it was then that Rowan noticed the birds. Birds of every kind lay scattered under the trees by the path, like small bundles of feather that lay motionless among the mountain berries and the grass, as if they had fallen by the nests and perched in the night. Their eyes closed, beaks agaped, their legs tiny stiff twigs. Rowan's throat ached, as if though every living creature in Rin had been captured by this spell that had overtaken the village. Star, he whispered. His stomach lurched as he realized the great beast must have known that there was some trouble coming. That is why she had been restless. That is why she led the Bookshah the other way. And he made them return. If only he had seen what she would have, they would not have strayed without a cause. She had obeyed him last night, trusting him, but in his blindness he made her bring the herd back into danger. Sobbing, he pulled Alan on. They reached Broden's workshop. Almost, Rowan stopped to think. Almost. Oh, I think that's supposed to be a thing. Almost. Rowan stopped, thinking to find help, but then he saw Broden's stocky body crumpled against the front door. Her brow was creased, and her strong arms were flung out as though she had fought against the last of whatever her power was clouding her mind to keep her eyes closed. I do not understand that line. Let me read it again. Let me try it again. Also, hey Dazzle, nice to see you. Well done. Well, welcome in. I'm glad that you managed to expand your vocabulary. Sobbing, he pulled Alan on. They reached Broden's workshop. Almost Rowan stopped, thinking to find help. But then he saw Broden's stocky body crumpled against her own front door. Her brow was creased, and her strong arms were flung out as though she had fought to the last against whatever power was clouding her brain and forcing her eyes closed. Rowan, mumbled Alan, dragging on his hand. I cannot. Yes, you can, cried Rowan, panic-stricken. Alan, look, Bree and Hannah's house is near. Do not stop. We have to find John and Mother. They will help us. He pushed through the gate that led into the gardens. He pulled Alan, stumbling into the house behind the trees, and then he knew that there was no help to be found there. The door hung open, and John lay face down on the grass at the bottom of the steps, with Jilla by his side. They were still as death. And that is where we're going to end the story for today. Yep. How's it going? Oh my god. Sleep spells, man. How come sleep spells in D&D don't work so scary? Oh, but my god, it inspires me so much. Imagine the terror on, like, the people's, like, it's not, okay, because if you are affected by it, this is really good. No, we're not going to do one more. Hey, oh, you missed a bit. That's okay. You know what? Been a while? It's been a while. I will do a quick recap of the story thus far. So stick around. I will do that just because, you know, I don't want you to feel like you missed out, you know, and then we'll go raid someone. And, yeah, that's what we'll do. Okay, so hold on. Let me break some down. I need a process. Let me break some stuff down. First of all, what I had never considered is how terrifying being a survivor of one of those situations is. You think about D&D, right? You think about, like, oh, yeah, you know, like a big curse swings in or a pandemic or something, and you're like, oh, I don't want to catch a disease. But imagine for a moment, if you will, how abjectly terrifying it would be to be the only people, like the sense of isolation that comes from the fact that everyone is gone, and that there is no help coming, or there may not be any help coming. That just sheer abject fear is such a powerful, emotive storytelling device. I definitely would love to use it in a D&D game at some point or another. It is so cool. It is such a really, really wicked thing. And I think even that bit where Timon was, like, ringing the bell to try and draw people out and waking them up, the fact that he was ringing it but still, like, half asleep and stuff like that, and eventually they just find him, like, just holding on to it but not pulling on it, that, you just watching that degradation of one of the main characters was just, like, is just so nuts. That's so cool. Being a survivor, worse not adventurer with an event, who's not an adventurer with magic or particular skills. Because yeah, exactly. If you're a survivor and you don't have a way to deal with stuff, my god. And the ones not sleepy don't have magic against. Yeah, you can't do anything against it. It's nuts. All right, so let's do a quick recap. For been a while. Now we are reading through the Emily Rodda's Rowan of Rin series. Book 1 was about a bookshop farmer by the name of Rowan, who lived in a small town known as Rin. Water that managed to water their large herd animals, known as Bookshaw, stopped coming down from the mountains. So, along with a riddle given to them by an old witch, and 6 great powerful warriors that, well, people, because they're all the people of Rin are warriors, but, you know, 6 of their strongest, climbed the mountain and faced numerous dangers on this mountain in order to try and find what had stopped the water. The only person who managed to do so and get to the very top was Rowan, who was a gentle, shy, and frightened bookshop farmer. And after returning successful with, you know, everyone surviving and all that sort of stuff, stories had been told about Rowan. This book that we're currently reading is the Rowan and the Travelers book, and the Travelers are allies with the people of Rin, along with the Maris folk, who we haven't met yet.
against enemies known as the Zebak. In this book, the travelers have unseasonably come to Rin 6 months after the incident with the mountain, and there's some suspicious stuff going on. Why are you guys here? You guys say you have news that you're not willing to tell us. What might that news be? The people of Rin are trying to protect their commerce by stopping the travelers from coming into town and stealing the berries that they'd brought down and started cultivating from the mountain. So there's this big tension between the travelers and the people of Rin. Sheba, the person who gave them the riddle in the first book, came back and gave Rowan another riddle, saying that there's a darkness and a betrayal and stuff happening in the background. And initially not doing anything about it, but, eventually coming to this point where now there's this big sleeping curse striking over Rin. It is now up to Rowan to try and figure out who's doing this, why they're doing it, and bring this to a close. Originally, it was believed that maybe the travelers are involved, and they might be, but the travelers have, as their name implies, traveled, and they have moved, which is either really suspicious or very unfortunate. Whichever the case is, it is now back up to Rowan to try and deal with everything because everyone's asleep. Strong John's asleep. Timon's asleep. Bree and Hannah are asleep. Broden, who is one of the strong characters from the first book, also completely asleep. So yeah, it seems like Rowan's the only person who is lucid. Even Rowan's mother and sister are also asleep as well. So yeah, it's just full of stuff. Now the current working theory is that the travelers might have betrayed Rin, because the Zebak may have learnt how to manipulate the travelers and have offered them something from the traveler legends, which is the Valley of Gold. Now, the Valley of Gold is a traveler legend that in the mountains beyond Rin, there's a city of gold. It's like El Dorado kind of thing. Filled with people who are incredibly wise and smart and clever and all of that. But a long time ago, when giant races and tribes started warring on the mountain, that entire city was buried. So the current working theory is that the travelers have been told by the Zebak, hey guys, if you go and mess up the guys of Rin and help us conquer this land, we'll give you the Valley of Gold. We'll march our soldiers in and we'll do that. Whether or not that's true, whether or not that's going to be happening, that we have no idea. We have no idea. Now all we know is that poor Rowan is dragging Alan around, who is a half traveler, by the way. So mother's from Rin and father was a traveler. You've got Alan and Rowan are the only two people even remotely lucid at this point. It's so good. It's so good. I'm really enjoying it. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream today. I absolutely know I did. It was a blast to hang out with you guys again. I will be continuing this ongoing and indefinitely until we get to the end of this adventure. We are now that's how far we are through this thing. So we've only read that much. So still plenty of Rowan action left to go. So there you go. All right. Who are we gonna go and raid? We should raid. Sly Flourish is doing stuff. Let's go raid Sly. Sly Flourish is an amazing writer. He did the Lazy GM books. And he authors just a ton of really cool D&D homebrew material. So be sure to pop in, give him a like, give him a follow, and yeah, thank you guys for joining us. Why isn't it letting me raid? That's very strange. Let me try that again. Sly _ Flourish. Oh, he won't let me raid it. Ah, there you go. You can't raid him. Ah, shame. Well, in that case, guys, I guess that we're gonna just call it a night. Yeah, we're just gonna call it a night, I guess. So, yeah, wherever you guys go, whatever you guys do, please enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy life, love, and all the cool things that come with this incredible weekend. I'm going to go to bed and shave and get ready for tomorrow's game, where we're going to be back for Curse of the Crimson Throne. If you join us for there, we'll see you then. And guys, also, just so you know, we got a very special Pathfinder game tomorrow morning / in the evening for you guys with Robert. Robert's going to be running through the Pathfinder game. There you go. It's going to be there. So, yeah, be sure to go check that out when that's in. Also, be sure, if you want to get notifications to all the stuff that I do, follow us on Discord, because that is where I put all my announcements whenever I go on shows. And I have so many different stuff on different channels. Easiest way to follow me around. So, stay safe, stay wonderful, until we meet again, as always, from me to you. Game hard, or die trying. Good night, guys.